And hello, today I'm working on a 1920s gramophone. I don't get very many of these in, but it's got a few problems. So, we're down that end of the workshop. Well, I believe this is a 1920s vintage one, as far as I can tell. It looks quite original to me, but it doesn't play very well. It starts off turning round nicely and then it slows down or to a stop. Well, the problem goes something like this. You crank the mainspring up, this handle, then you just pop a record on, let the brake off, I think it needs a spring clean, which isn't like cleaning your house. It's far more dangerous and messy. Although despite the spring being knackered, I'm going to let this run down. I'll take the screws out whilst I'm waiting. This thing goes on forever. Take the handle out. To be fair, there's no reason why I can't take it out as it is right now. I can get this circlip off now. Then the turntable can just lift away. There's only 3 screws holding this thing on. Except that there's nuts on there as well. I forgot about the nuts. I don't know if you can make that out on there. It says the Gramophone Company, Hayes, Middlesex. Made in England. These motors are really standard for gramophones. You got the winding handle goes in there, turns the mainspring which lives in here. What we've got over here, some gears that just give a gear reduction. This is the main spindle here, and the speed's regulated by this spring-loaded part here. As it spins around, it flies out, and the speed is adjusted by this part here, which allows this to move in and out. I'm now going to do the dangerous part now, which is undo the screws that hold this all together. I'll start off with this screw which holds the pivot for the motor. I don't know if that's wise to do this one first, but hey, why not? If anything's going to go when I let go of this, I think it's going to throw this shaft out. So I figure I'll put it down this way. There we go. That was it. Spring tension released. I think the trouble is in the spring motor, which is full of black grease, I expect. Ew. When you're winding it up, it just turns a spring in there. And the spring feels okay, but from what I've read, it won't be. Let's take these 4 screws out. There's one. I'll do them in opposites. Well, this grease looks pretty old. Look how that is pretty thick, like a graphite grease, I think. And what I understand, this grease sets like this in between all these layers of spring and stops it turning freely. I think it's hooked on at some point. There's a little dimple there, which I think is where it's going to be engaged. Quite how this comes out, I'm not. Oh, it just pulls out. Okay. I think this is going to be so mucky, I'm actually going to put some gloves on. As you know, I'm not afraid of a bit of dirt, but blimey. I guess we just go smoothly and gently with it. Just pull it up, I guess. I don't know if it's tight. It's tight, and I don't know if that's because that's the spring or the grease. Oh, I can feel it starting to go. I'm going to start to let this unwind a bit. It's got a lot of tension on it now. Just let it relax nicely. I could do with bigger hands. A bit controversially, I'm going to try some very cheap solvent, some white spirits, and just leave it overnight. See what it does. We'll leave that to dissolve overnight, if it does dissolve it. Oh well, I'm going for a beer. Well, as a solvent, no, I'm not sure, it's not done a great job, but it is at least letting me brush it off, so I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I decided to dump that white spirits out. There's some sludge in the bottom, including these screws that I wanted to degrease. I think I need a more powerful solvent. That'll do. Well, it does appear to be doing a much better job. Oh yes. Well, I've tried to wipe this spring down. It definitely needs a bit of a soak. Let's wind this back up a bit and see if I can make it fit. Will it fit back in the bowl? I'm not going to lie, that was a horrible thing to clean. All done now. Yeah, look at that. Somehow I've got to cram that in there. Now these springs need some grease. Traditionally they used a graphite grease. I've got some Castrol graphite grease here, perfect. But I'm not so sure it doesn't, it's quite thick really. Yeah, I'm not, yeah, maybe as you mix it up it's a bit better. So there's option one. I've got a molybdenum disulfide. Oh, this is a lot lighter and looser. Yeah, I'm going with this one. Sorry, authenticity. I'm going to put a bit in the bottom of the spring case first, just to sort of start it off. So these things need plenty of greasing. It's a shame after I've just cleaned all this out. That might be enough. Yes, because once I've started this process of winding the spring in, I won't be able to stop until it's completely in. So, oh, makes your hand ache. It definitely does. I'm quite impressed. That looks brand new. Beautiful. Time to mess it up with some more grease. Got to get it right in there. Yuck. Give it a little wipe over around the edge. Probably doesn't matter, but makes me feel better. Just got to put this main gear back on, which I think it's screwed from this side. That's put the winding mechanism in, which engages with the spring in there. Just about see that, that step goes in. I'm going to give it a little bit of lube around here. Well, it's covered in black grease anyway, isn't it? It might as well have some. It's sensible to use the same grease on all these parts because you can get various chemical reactions if the grease is a sort of incompatible chemistry. So a bit worryingly, there's a bit of the spring you can just see does not flush there, so I'm going to sort of hope that gets out of the way. Oh, and it did. Perfect. Oh, and it feels springy. That's encouraging. Also, whilst you weren't looking, I've given this a good old clean as well. This is the winding mechanism. I might just give it a little bit of an initial charge of grease in there as well. I can always add more afterwards with this. The winding mechanism on the whole motor sits on there. pop one of these screws in. I'm just going to engage that in its location there. And it just sits against that motor like that. But as you may have seen before, I'm more a fan of semi-fluid grease for the normal mechanisms on any record players or automation like this. But I don't mix it with the other greases, so not on there. It might be okay, but you never know. They can react together and set rock hard. So hopefully this will all sort of squeeze together. Okay, making me work for it, this is. I'm just going to put the winding handle in here so I can test the motor. Well, it's had a few turns of the spring now, just let the speed regulator off. Oh, look at that. The more you let it go, the faster it goes. There's not much up with that. Well, it's all ready to go back in. Try and find the oh, where is it? There. There we go. Well, I'm calling that working. Oh, hello. What's this? I know what that's off. Well, I hope you enjoyed that mucky repair we just did. Stick around for the next videos because this thing's getting an electric pickup. Ooh. Catch you next time.